So I do lots of commercial stuff for the businesses I work for or work with, or one that I'm also starting myself. For any successful business to actually grow, you need to be able to generate revenue, right? You need to be able to make money. If you build the most sophisticated solution in the world and you have no commercial expertise, or you cannot hire commercial people to help you to sell what you have built, you're just going to be there. You're going to run out of cash. That's if you raise money. And if you are bootstrapping, maybe you are funding it by yourself, you just find out why nobody using this thing. I don't know if you guys have watched this. There was this series I watched it when I was 7 in Silicon Valley. Yeah, where you're talking about how you might be the best at innovating and creating solutions, but you might not just understand how marketing works, how growth works. A lot of those things that basically help you to succeed in your business, right? So I'm going to move from there to tell you guys a bit about myself, and it's to kind of take us into the topic of today that we're talking about, innovating in the right direction. What exactly is innovation? Where is the right direction? We don't actually know this thing, but we're going to figure it out. So I think my story will start from where I was in secondary school. Let's just go to secondary school because we are in the redemption camp now. This is my first time in this place. I used to attend the Mountain of Fire MFL prayer sitting. We used to go there for fasting and prayer. Then, after your holiday, you just go and cast and bind on the devils in your body, and you go back to school refreshed. But I say that the redeem camp is much larger in size than MFL, and I'm like, this prayer sitting that I can lost inside. But yeah, that's by the way. So in I think GSS 2 or thereabouts, I wanted to get involved in activities in the church, right? I joined the group. I joined it was the Bible club group-ish at the time. So people that used to jack scripture very well, they fire down scriptures. I joined the group. By the time I joined, I was new. I'd never basically read anything in the Bible before. And I wanted to impress. I wanted to understand and get to a certain level in that group. I didn't just want to come there and bench for me, right? So I took it upon myself. I was going to read this Bible from beginning to end, back to back, consistently, so I understand what was there, and I could. At the time, we used to have Bible quizzes we would go for at the end of the year, maybe September or thereabouts. We go for the Bible quiz, National Bible quiz at the time, and the kind of questions that come out so much. The kind of questions that come out at the were basically stuff that if you had not read the Bible to a very good extent, you will not be able to answer those questions. So that prompted me, so okay, I'm going to study this thing. And the best way for me to study is, if I'm learning something, I have to kind of write something down. Yeah, some kind of reinforcement, because if I'm stressing myself to, write what I'm reading, it sticks a bit. And a better way to reinforce is, after writing, go and implement in a way, or teach somebody about it, right? That way you have put a lot of things together to make you understand it better, right? So, the way I will go about this is to, as I was reading my stuff, the Bible, I will be writing stuff down. I got 60 leaves at the time, and I was writing. I was even doing this in class when I was supposed to be reading my book and something like that, which was problematic at some point. But that was the way I was going about it. And after a while, I basically finished the 60 leaves. I got another one, and then I moved to 80 leaves. Just to document everything I had read about the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, and then I had to do it all over again, to refresh. I did that maybe for 4 years, but in the midst of doing that, that was when we were getting kind of introduced to computers, and how they work and typing and all of that. So I found out that okay, these books I've been writing. It's a lot of load. It's also very stressful to have to keep writing this stuff. And for me to reference it, I have to be with those books. I have to know if I can open the book and read, right? So I found out that, okay, I could actually type all of this stuff in Microsoft Word, right? And I had one Alcatel OT708 at the time. It was a touchscreen mobile device. It was not Android, it was not an iPhone, it was not even Symbian, right? But it was touchscreen. I was the only one that had that phone then. Nobody in my school, in my church I was really one with that accounting, so I was feeling great. But the good thing about it was that when I would write, everything I'd read in the Bible in my notes, I could now like write it again. When it's double work anyways, I'll have to write it again in Microsoft Word. But then I could now save Microsoft Word as TXT, right, as a text file that I could read on that device. So I could, it made it more mobile for me to refresh stuff I was, reading and stuff like that. So it stopped. The good thing about it was that I joined Bible Club 1 year. By the end of that year, I was already like representing my region at the time for like was also like regional Bible quiz, and then I would go to headquarters. Second year I would go to headquarters. I was one of the representatives. So for the 4 years or thereabouts that I was in the Bible Club, let's say first year we got to the national finals. We were like 4th position. The year after that, we were like 3rd. The year after that, again, we were like 2nd. And then the last year, which was when I was graduating from like secondary, SS3, we were 1st position, right? And like there were crazy hurdles we had to climb for us to win. Basically, I represented my church and I won the stuff for them. And that was because I had intensively studied, this stuff. And look at what I'd done, I'd written a lot of stuff, I'd typed them, I had reinforced them, basically found ways to make it easier for me to accomplish those goals that I set for myself in that regard, right? And if you look at it, you probably have seen some patterns where I realized that, writing stuff down with paper and Bible, using a lot of books was not very efficient, right? And there were better ways to accomplish the same thing I wanted to do. That's one part. I would move from there, from maybe secondary to university. I kind of carried the same skills of research and writing stuff down into my university time. I studied biochemistry in the University of Lagos. I did not practice that thing. I never got the chance to actually, not like it was deliberate. I saw Shaggy when I was looking for IT placement at the time. I think I went to a lot of companies in Lagos and even Ogun State, submitted my qualifications at the time. I did not necessarily have any qualification, but I was smart, right? I knew what I was doing. I did some assessments at some places, but they would not call me back. Because of the way Nigeria kind of is, or Nigeria was, where you don't get anything if you don't know like somebody to push you, even if you're like the most qualified. So it was a mess. Thank God for that. Did biochemistry. In my like closing years, final year, I was it took me 1 week to write my project, right? Like to actually write the project. But the research that we had to do, we were collecting at the time blood samples from a lot of people. We needed like 500 blood samples. So we're going up and down begging people for blood. It was crazy. and it was very specific. Like, okay, we needed blood from people that were smoking cigarettes, right? If you smoke cigarettes, I need your blood. If you are a female, the blood I need from you is when you are on your period, right? So not the period blood like this, but like you're like taking your blood from your body during that period, because we wanted to check for like some hormonal factors and genes and shit like that. Sorry for the French. So yeah, it was weird, but surprisingly, a lot of people still gave me their blood with all of those weird conditions. Like, I don't even know, but I was able to convince them. I think that's why I'm doing like commercial stuff and marketing. So yeah, I was doing my project, blah blah blah. It took me 1 week to actually write it. That's because I've been writing for a while, right? So I spent 1 week writing the project. Like I wrote the whole thing back to back, chapter 1 to 5. I was done. I never got the hard copy for myself. I printed copies for the university, like faculty, departments, and whatever, for them to sign and approve. But I never took a copy myself that, okay, I wanted to keep, to show maybe my children at the project. But I kept like the documents copy, right? Because I felt it was more efficient now. If you remember my story from the past. So one thing I also did was that during that period, because I wrote mine very fast, I got like, Alpha, help me. And then I started to collect money to help people to do their projects. I made a lot of money, at that period. And even the data analysis part, there's lots of just research and writing in like chapters 1 to 2, 3, and then 4 is like analysis and And that was where I actually had to learn data analysis and implement it because there was a need for it at the time when I was making money and stuff like that. So I did that a bit whilst I was also waiting for NYSC, service. I did some other jobs anyway, but I made a lot of money from doing projects from even outside of my school. I was getting referrals, a lot of referrals to help them to do the same thing I was doing there and getting paid for it. So it was a good business at the time. And then it came to a point where, I was doing a project with somebody and then there was this need for me to do like plagiarism check, to basically check that everything I was writing in the work would pass a certain percentage of, it was not copied from online, like just lifted stuff. It was maybe you rephrased it, you referenced it, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't have the software in my system at the time. So I wanted to get a cracked version of it, and I was not very aware of the problems with looking for a cracked version of stuff. So I went on to download the virus into my system, we ran an exe file, and then it just encrypted the whole laptop, so I could not access anything, from files and a lot of documents that I worked on. So it was problematic at the time. So I was now telling the babe that I even could get a job from that, see what I've cost, see the stress she puts me in. So I lost files, right? I lost access to files. The only way I was able to retrieve those files was because I had like a hard drive where I'd stored some things, but I stored some things like 3 months ago, right? So everything I'd done for the past 3 months was gone. The way I could now get some things back was checking my emails. That okay, I've sent email copies to some people. I've sent like some docx, like Microsoft Word, and I've sent some PDFs. So when I got access to my system again, I had to start, taking stock of all of these things and okay, how can I prevent this disaster from happening? I mean, if you do cybersecurity, disaster recovery and all of that shit. So that was when I realized that okay, I need to be more efficient in the way I save my stuff. I need to be more security conscious. And the way I was saving my documents was not the most efficient method, right? So I realized that okay, email works, but email works on a kind of cloud service, right? So at that point I would migrate from on-premises data storage to the cloud. Anyways, but I would shift from using like just Microsoft Word and stuff that I could not save in different places to writing on Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Docs. The cloud storage basically because I could also use those things on the go. On my phone, I could write, I could edit, I could, all of that stuff. Making life very easy. So even if I get a viral attack on my system, I would not lose all of those files, right? I won't lose anything basically. I'll just be pissed that I have to start, reset or reformat the system. But that was how to solve that kind of problem, right? At all of these points, I would eventually shut down that business because I got tired of working with direct customers and all of their plenty wahala. They don't pay on time. They have so many requests. So I kind of mentally, I learned B2C. That was like me offering services to customers, volumes of customers with all of their headaches to now shift my skills into focusing more on businesses, right? So I think when Amos was talking about my profile, I said I specialize in B2B business types, right? I don't like consumer businesses because they're also unreliable, right? That's a conversation for that. So yeah, that was how I switched, and then I'd gone through all of these cycles of realizing problems, finding efficient ways to fix them, which is where I would kind of enter into our topic of innovation, right? So innovation basically, in simple terms, is finding new ways, more efficient ways to do stuff, making improvements to existing products or services, just to make life better generally. I recognize innovation from all of the experiences that I personally have gone through, right? From where I was writing stuff to when I started to type them, because what I could do with that, and then before I had to move my data to the cloud and stuff like that. So there's also like a spectrum of innovation to disruption, right? They live on a spectrum. So innovation is, if you're talking about innovation, you're talking about making improvements to an existing process, an existing tool. Disruption is basically changing the old system, turning it on its head. So if we look at making improvements to a system, you see that from like your mobile phones. They release like new versions every year. Maybe there's an iPhone 20, iPhone whatever, Mac M1, M3, M whatever, right? Those are like improvements, and they keep innovating on an existing product. But if you look at the shift from maybe using your paper and biro to write stuff down to having a tablet, that's a disruption because they are not related in the way you access them, right? And the engines that power them are entirely different, right? So we've also seen a lot of disruptions in our life that you might be able to recognize. From 2020, we had the coronavirus pandemic. That caused a worldwide shift in the way things work generally, the way businesses work. That was e-commerce started to make a lot of sense. Video conferencing for work, even remote work, started to make a lot of sense. A lot of businesses that would never have thought they would adopt, well, a lot of them that would never have thought they would adopt remote work are now doing hybrid now. And some of them are even back to, on site because they cannot fathom that you guys will sit down in your bed and you'll be working, right? So that one has helped my life because I don't work on site. I don't work on site. I've been working remote for the longest time now, right? So, those are the kind of innovations that you recognize that have made like significant impact in life. A lot of things that people build, a lot of solutions, a lot of products. If you look at it at the base level, they are solving maybe 3 problems. Maybe they are helping you to save time, right? Or they are helping you to save money, right? Or they are helping you to save efforts, resources, right? So a lot of productivity tools are helping you to save your time and resources, basically, and effort. At the end of the day, they will somehow solve 1 or 3 of those problems for you. Like basically think of any product, any solution at all. They either solve 1 of those 3 problems. And then thinking about the way to innovate is basically for you to put the market first, not your products. Also speaking to what I've done from the room, that a lot of us are builders, we are data analysts, and front end, back end, and the rest. You might get lost in the fact that you can build something and not realize the need and the need for it in the market. And the market is the most important. There is a buzzword for product market fit, right? I listened to and I liked this guy, Brian Barfor, who said, let's see the market product fit. So you put the market first, even though it's just syntax, but the way you phrase it might actually impact the way you look at it. The market first before the product. What's going on in the market? What's the problem the market is solving? From all the times I've tried to venture into something that looks like businesses, they've really been stemming from the need in the market. Like it's because there was, I think naturally I'm not somebody that is driven a lot by money. I don't need a lot of money to be okay. But all the times I've made money have really been because there was something happening that I could do, that I identified. And it's beyond just businesses, right? Beyond just starting a business, even being useful to existing business as like a resource, as a staff, as whatever, to reach your customers. You hire salespeople, the salespeople are making cold calls, they are sending emails, they are attending events, they are talking to people about the solution that you built, etc. Right? Or you built your products so well that you can now leverage on, some kind of network effect, where the product itself can do marketing, which is still marketing, but that's that's something that people will still have to fight about, right? But recognizing those channels, and the fact, the thing about channels is that channels are always changing in the way they work. So if you build something that, for instance, maybe it's social media has been your major channel or acquisition, customer acquisition channel, basically. And then there's a algorithm change to maybe Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that. That affects the way you're able to reach your customers over time, right? So you kind of need to always understand the innovations that are being made on those channels, so that you're not cut off from your customers, basically, right? That's the thing about channels. So you need to understand the rules of the channel, so that you can play to the strengths and be able to win, and always continue to be able to reach your customers, basically. That's the channel side. There's also the side of your business model, which is kind of really very, very important to us, as just as important as the other parts of it. understanding your business model, how you're going to be able to make money from that venture that you're doing, right? How are you going to make money? There are a couple of ways you probably can make money if you have a product that is offering a freemium model. It's free, everybody uses it for free, like social networks, right? But they make money from monetizing the users of the platform to people that want to advertise to them, right? That's the way it works for that kind of business model. Or maybe your business model is transactional. You are taking cuts from enabling somebody to make a transfer to the next person or whatever. You have a transactional business model. There are also a number of ways you can also make money in that system, but you need to understand which one your product is. And the more you have, the better for you. So you kind of have multiple streams of income from the same product offering that you have, right? And there's the understanding of the linkages with your business model, your channel, your market, and your product, right? Such that if your product is very expensive, the low-cost acquisition channels might not really make sense for you like that. If you're pricing, a software solution at maybe $10,000, you're not going to run an ad, and I'm going to see the ad, and I'll go and buy something worth $10,000. It's not going to happen. You need to do more to convince me. So maybe find a way to build a community that I find value from. I can network with my peers there. I can get a lot of useful resources from there. And over time, you build awareness in my mind such that when it's time for me to actually pay the money for that kind of solution, you're the first thing that comes to my mind, right? But if it's something that the barrier to use it is very low, maybe it's a free product, right? I can find on the App Store, I can use immediately. Or it costs me a few dollars, maybe $1, right? Something like Netflix. I'll probably, if you run an ad and I see it, I can stream movies, I'll probably use that product, right? So, you can use low-cost channels for products that are priced low. But if the price, the ticket value of the product is high, then you also need to use expensive channels, like community content. You start to do webinars and events. You invite people for a gathering like this or something like that, and be able to educate them, provide everything they need to just feel welcome in the brand. I mean, a lot of people that, I don't know if they are marketing people here, but a lot of people that learned marketing, digital marketing at the time, learned from HubSpot, Google, digital skills, and just free resources they could access. Myself, when I started to get to positions where I could make buying decisions in my companies, pay for CRM and all of that, I paid for HubSpot first, because they're my guys already. And that's an investment from HubSpot over maybe 5-6 years, right, to get me to buy. And even like 2 other companies I went to, I also still paid for HubSpot again, right? But a lot of businesses don't have that. They don't have that patience or time to invest so much in doing brand kind of for people to later on purchase what they're selling. But that's also a different conversation. But this is the way it actually works. You need to find the balance, with your market, the products, the channels that you're using to reach your customers, and the business model that you're selling. Which, if you're in business school, you probably have to do, market sizing, total addressable market, coming down to whatever. But it's realizing that no matter the idea you have, you need to query and scrutinize the idea so much that the chances of success for you are very high. There's something this Tosin and Lauren that said, CEO of Money Points. It was like, you can be a big player in a small market, or you can be the best hustler, right, in a small market, or you can be the worst hustler in a big market. So if you are a big hustler in a small market, maybe you can capture just if you win all the customers, you'll capture 50, right? But if you are the worst hustler in a market that is worth 1 billion people, you probably get multitudes more than you would in a very small market. So you need to recognize all of those factors when you're building. And don't get carried away with the fact that you can either build, or you feel like this idea is the best thing that happens since like sliced bread, right? And that's just the way to think about innovating. I think I've covered a lot of stuff that I have on my mind, right? And yeah, that's it. Thank you.